All right, we're live back at DefCon. Things are kind of winding down in terms of the conference itself, but the Monero party has just begun.
Yeah.
They're about to have the after party. We just did a crazy game of Plinko. High winner, 1.1 Monero. What do you guys think so far? You having a good time?
Really having a good time, and
Yeah, really good time.
And you guys, I know you just told me your names, but now I'm blanking on them. It's Reuben and Aran.
No.
How do you say it?
Aram.
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 Aram. And you guys are with Zcoin.
Correct. Yes.
So what was the talk that you gave the talk yesterday, correct?
No,
No,
we haven't gotten our time.
Reuben
Oh,
is going to
Okay,
talk
the talk didn't
about-
happen yet. I've been out here the entire
Yeah,
time.
that's fine.
And so what is that conversation going to be about?
The conversation is about dealing with cryptographic flaws in cryptocurrencies. So we were using something called Zcoin, and there was like a big cryptographic flaw. And I guess it's learning from what lessons we can learn when dealing with this type of flaws in currencies. I mean, like Monero has had some share of its own flaws as well, and I think it's good that we can learn from that. Yeah.
What was the big flaw?
So it was actually a flaw in one of the proofs in Zcoin, which allowed people to print money out of thin air. Yeah. Basically, that's like one of the worst things that can happen.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah,
good.
That's right.
And when was that revealed? When did that happen?
Is it April?
April?
Yeah, April.
And now Zcash, what's the relation there?
I think there's no relation except that both these companies are based on crypto protocols which have common authors. Scientists who invented used to be the same authors of the same of the protocols.
So different protocol, but the same inventor for both of the protocols.
Yeah, so basically, like Zcoin and Zerocash are protocols. Zcoin and Zcash are currencies, and Zcoin and Zerocash, they have different cryptography, but they were written by the same. They had shared authors.
Right.
Yeah, but currently now Zcoin isn't even.
Which was first?
Zcoin. Yeah.
Okay. And then then the author then invented what turned into Zcash.
That's right.
And so what was the differences then? Why that second iteration?
You wanna
I
get
think
to
lots of differences actually. Zero cash is more advanced and ensures higher security and also more advanced functionality and confidentiality of transactions. Because zero coin works only with fixed denominated values, while zero cash enables transactions of arbitrary values while concealing the transaction amounts.
There are certain trade-offs. Like one of the criticisms of Zcash, it's this really complicated trusted setup ceremony. Zerocoin does have a trusted setup, but it's like third-party. We use parameters from something called the RSA Factoring Challenge in 1991, and it's not using like another criticism of Zcash is that it uses moon math, while we are using then Zerocoin used something called RSA, which is has kind of student
Cryptography, more well-studied cryptographic assumptions.
correct.
What do you guys do for Zerocoin?
I'm cryptographer and inventor of new protocol which will be going to live to Zcoin called Lelantus.
Yeah, we're definitely interested about that in the Monero community as well, correct?
Correct, and actually everyone interested can learn more about tomorrow. We will have a roundtable discussion on our new cryptographic protocols tomorrow, right after Reuben's talk. And
Yeah, let's talk more about this. So, do we think this is actually going to get? Your feeling? Do you think it will get implemented in Monero based on the conversations you've been having so far?
Right now, so there's 5 candidates roughly that Monero's looking at. Well, they're definitely going with something called CLSAC because although
Can you briefly explain what mechanism this will be replacing in Monero?
I think better to start from its advantages compared to Monero. I believe Lelantus ensures higher anonymity set. Like it's not
For the ring signatures.
ring signatures. Yeah,
Really
it's not
large.
they're really large. Like we can support up to 100K.
compared to like
com-
11
compared
now.
to 11.
So at that point, then you're essentially as anonymous as something like Zcash, which
We
kind of
would
has
argue
infinite, anonymity set.
To
That's
the
something
power 32.
Monero, right. So at that point, you're kind of nearing that, practically speaking.
I think practically, so I think the way Monero's thinking about using Lelantus is different than the way we use it. So the way Monero's looking at it is maybe building ring sizes up to maybe like 1,000 from our discussion with Sarang. And then he was saying that once you get to that point, it's practically really good. The way that we do it's a bit different. We use it as a structure we destroy the coins, and then at any time in the future you can redeem them for brand new ones with no previous transaction history. So it's still both using Lelantus, but they are different approaches to the same technology. Right now, as you answering the initial questions of how likely is it to be implemented in Monero, there are still certain technical challenges that are required for us to solve before I think it becomes a really prime candidate. It is a very promising candidate, but one of the issues or rather challenges is that once the recipient receives the money, he has to kind of like self-spend again to prevent it from being traced to him, and that's an additional step. It's not really a big problem, it's just inconvenient for the recipient. They have to do an additional step to anonymize himself, and it's also not really good for, like, it's not that efficient. So if we can solve that, I really think that Sarang would really consider that as a prime candidate. Yeah. And
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right now we're at a ring signature set of, I think, 11, right? So
yes, I mean, you're going to replace it soon with CLSAC, which is still going to be like a ring size of 11, and there's Omni Ring and Ring CT3 as well, which also allow just large rings, but all of them have different trade-offs. Lelantus has a really, like, it solves a lot of the stuff, but the main thing is the self-spend that is still an issue, and we're working
to
hard.
elaborate a bit more on the self-spend problem is that when the sender sends a coin to recipient, the sender can trace when the code is being spent. So in order to avoid of the traceability, the recipient is required to spend it immediately and remit to new coin, which already cannot be traced by the original sender. This is the problem.
But we think it might be you might be able to overcome it somehow. You might be able to overcome that problem somehow.
Yeah, I'm optimistic that scientific challenge, of course, but I'm optimistic that we can resolve that.
So yeah, speaking of scientific challenge, so how did you come about to even you're a cryptographer?
Yeah.
How did you come about in inventing this, so to speak? Was it something that found you, or you found it? Like, why did you start working on this particular problem?
I think we found it. I mean, Zcoin team, because Zcoin already started to research the Sigma protocol, which is the predecessor of this Lelantus. Actually, Lelantus is built on top of Sigma and just add extra functionality and convenience on top of what Zcoin has already looked for a long time already.
So just a quick understanding, like, so we were using Zcoin, which has all this trusted setup and stuff. Then we moved to Sigma, which is kind of like Zcoin, except it's a lot, there's no trusted setup, and it's like really small, like 1.5 kilobytes. And when we first engaged Aran, we were actually looking for ways to get like Zcash type of anonymity, but without trusted setup. And we went through this like rabbit hole of like lots of like bulletproofs and all this.
Implementing zero cache based on bulletproofs.
Yeah,
like without using snarks, which is the underlying crypto technology of zero cache, but using bulletproof, this new crypto protocol, which doesn't require trusted setup, it's based on standard cryptography assumptions. And after doing research or math or two, we thought that it will not be practically feasible to implement zero cache on bulletproofs, and we looked for other technologies.
We went back to Sigma, and then Aran came out with a really unique way of extending the functionality to basically hide amounts as well. And it's and basically because I guess like one of many proofs is like kind of like a giant ring, right? Yeah. So, and that's kind of when Sarang took a look at it, I think he found out about it from that Berlin conference, was it?
Yeah. Lelantus was first not published, but we first talked about Lelantus during the Zerocon conference in Berlin. I think this is where Sarang have heard about, and he emailed us looking to learn more details about it.
And he's been really helpful. I think Sarang has actually developed like prototype code for Lelantus and like sort of envisioning, let's say if Monero is interested in moving to such a model, how that would happen. So there's already some code available that's publicly available to take a look at.
Yeah, I think including a transition code, which will make transitions smoothly from Monero coins to Lelantus coins.
Of course, this is, you know, is one of, like, you know, I guess a few of the pros. So I would say like this is a more long-term plan. I think Sarang mentioned like in the next 1 year or 2 years or so, because, you know, we're starting to see that maybe a ring size of 11 is not enough or so, and we need to think about, or Monero has to think about increasing the ring sizes to maybe
I think it's kind of its greatest criticism of Monero right now, and it's something the Monero community is aware of that needs to be improved.
I really like that, you know, despite we are both like competing privacy projects, these are things that we can really work together with, and we really like Monero Research Lab's feedback, and, you know, them inviting us here, and I think it really improves. Like, we don't have to be like, you know,
At the end of the day, this
trolling
is
each
all
other.
open source technology.
Yes.
Everybody's essentially kind of working on the same problem.
Correct. And I also like that although it's like both of us may be using Lelantus, but we're doing it in different ways, and, you know, we can then really examine the trade-offs. So I think that's really good. Yeah.
So yeah, why Zcoin? Why not Monero? Why aren't you guys working on Monero? Why are you working on a different coin?
We like the concept of burn and redeem, in the sense that, okay, maybe when you guys reach like 1,000 ring sizes, but right now, like, you know, there's some criticisms that when you're doing repeated transactions, this kind of decoy model breaks down. The way that, like, you know, the Zcoin model, or basically Lelantus in a Zcoin model where you burn the coin, it stops existing, and then when you redeem it, there's no transaction link. So you're not hiding in the crowd. It's just like disappear, reappear. And we feel like that's, our opinion, a better privacy model. And of course, you know, I guess that remains to be seen and more analysis to be done.
But even with the trusted setup, or you
We
guys
don't have
you
trusted setup. In
Oh, I
both Sigma and Lelantus,
I
there are
thought
no trusted setup. Zcoin had it.
Zcoin has it. Right.
But Zcoin has already is dead. It's been phased out.
Right.
Yeah.
We moved beyond it already.
Yeah.
Right.
The Sigma release is basically Zcoin functionality, but without trusted setup.
Without the
It's
trusted
different
And more
cryptography.
efficient.
Yeah. Like, I think just to give you an idea, like even Monero used to have really large transaction sizes. Like it was like, was it how many?
Before Bill
11 kilobytes. Yeah, correct. So Zcoin spend transactions were 25 kilobytes, not small, while Sigma transactions are like 1.5, and Lelantus around the same. So it brings it back into the range of, I guess, like similar like bulletproofs as well. Yeah. So that's really interesting.
Awesome. Anything else you guys? I mean, I would love to see more. You guys work on Monero more. I mean, or it's great that we're, you know, working together and taking your technology. Thank you for that. Potentially.
Yeah, and looking forward to collaborate more with Monero Research Lab.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, you know, we all here for the same thing. We all doing different
Yeah.
ways, even competing currencies, but we are all working towards the same goal to be like private, uncensorable money. And, you know, we hope that rather than, you know, trolling each other, we can find ways to work together.
What do you think about the Monero culture? You know, like when you look at the subreddit and how people act and people here, do you have any opinions there of like Monero land versus, you know, these other privacy coins?
Well, I mean, Monero's community is, I think, one of the most rich, even like, you know, compared to Zcash. It has such a long history. I had a really bad first experience with Monero's community, like way back in like, I don't know, 2013, 2014. But like, you know, I think that has changed a lot. I think it's becoming a lot more embracing and not like, oh, we are the best. I mean, yeah, of course, you guys, they are the best. I'm fine. That's fine. But it's not like everyone else is a shit coin. You know. I think it's more embracing and like, look, everyone's doing something interesting, and like especially Justin's work in, you know, opening conversation channels with Zcash. You know, inviting us.
He's creating a lot of value by doing it.
Yeah, I really think that's the right way to go. I mean, yes, you know, we may not agree on everything, and I do think diversity is important, but we don't have to be assholes to each other. I think that's the key thing. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for coming on, guys. I'm glad we did this talk. I know we were talking about doing it. I'm glad we found the time.
Yes.
And I guess now back to partying.
Yeah, party time.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.